Hi everyone and welcome to KRYPTALK, that Irish guy that talks about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is crashing and the entire cryptocurrency market is Let's find out why. This is episode number 41 and the title of this episode is Bitcoin Bloodbath. So if it's your first time watching the channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Let's take a quick look at the charts. Okay, let's get the basics out of the way. This is the Kraken chart. These are daily candles and Bitcoin is trading at $55,500. It's not looking good, but let's put it into perspective. From the all-time high of $64,900, we are down, as of right now, we're down about 14.5%. To the bottom of this wick there today, the lowest point we got to, we were down minus 21.5%. In 2017, in the bull market, there was corrections of 30% every few days. They were very, very common. Just have a look at these lines here. So this red perforated line is the all-time high of 64,900. This green perforated line is the previous all-time high of 61,700. And then this yellow perforated line is the previous or the third last all-time high of 58,339. None of them have acted as support. It's waterfall right straight down through it. But look, it's a bloodbath today, hence the title of this episode. Nothing is actually up apart from gold. Oh, Peter Schiff would be delighted. It's up a whole 0.7%. Go nuts. Now the Bitcoin dominance. We have to talk about the Bitcoin dominance because it's the only other thing, and it is significant, the fact that it's up. I don't really talk about this much. I just kind of like look at it and just I don't really bring it into the episodes, and I definitely should. Shout out to my two brothers who are big into the Bitcoin dominance. We'll call them S and K. If you can see here, it seems to be in a kind of a downward broadening wedge. And what you have here is you got this support line putting in consistently lower lows, and you have this resistance line putting in consistently, it's actually lower highs as well. I have disregarded this because it just kind of, I've disregarded it because it just didn't actually fit in. That's, I could probably be open to criticism there, but you have point of contact here, 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 here. It's almost like an anomaly there. And it came down. I drew these lines literally, I think weeks ago. I think actually months ago, and I just forgot about them. And it bounced right off here. Now the significance of that, basically what you're looking at here is the percentage. You take all the money in the market, all the money that's invested in cryptocurrencies in the world. Bitcoin dominance is 53.4%. That means out of all that money invested in all cryptocurrencies, 53.5% of it is invested in Bitcoin, and it was falling. And typically what happens when it falls, when the dominance falls significantly, you get these altcoin, they have a rally. What that means is that money shifts briefly from Bitcoin. People take profits out of Bitcoin, they put it into the altcoins and they pump. So it's kind of like a seesaw effect. Now, after Bitcoin topped out in 2017 and went into a bear market for a year, there was about a month or two there, was a few months there where there was an alt season where the altcoins went absolutely nuts because people have panic sold their Bitcoin and put them into the alt, or maybe strategically sold their Bitcoin profits into the alts, and when that pumped, and then everything went into a bear market. But look, why this is important is because you've had a bit of a bounce. Now I do give some reasoning as to why I think there will be a bounce tomorrow. I do think that the market will open strong tomorrow and there will be a bit of a bounce. I'm not saying it's going to go up to all-time highs or like that, but I do think there's going to be a bit of recovery. I mean, if you flick back to, give me a second here. There we go. If you flick back to the Bitcoin chart here, look at this. Look at these wicks. Just in case you don't know, this is a bearish candle. This is 1 day of trading. The price started here, massive drop, and it's currently here. So this is obviously going to put it in a bearish candle, but this wick means that at some point in the day the price was all the way down here, but the fact that it's such a long wick to the downside means that it was bought up. People had buy orders there, or maybe people were just, maybe they're on Coinbase and go, God, Bitcoin's very, very cheap and I'm going to buy some. Or even like say I dollar cost average, and I just did it today because it's cheaper, because I know when next Thursday it'll probably be back up again. Let's take a quick look at some indicators. They're very important today. The first indicator I'm going to take a look at, surprise, surprise, is the EMA. If you've been following the channel, you know I love the EMA. I watch the EMA ribbon like a hawk. So this collection here of moving averages, you have the yellow, orange, and red lines. Okay. The reason I'm watching it is very, very simple. We haven't had a close. One of these red bearish candles hasn't finished the day trading underneath the EMA ribbon since the 6th of October. So if you go all the way back to the 6th of October, I'm not going to do it. Just take my word for it. It was the last time we had one of these daily closes below the below the EMA ribbon. So we did trade down, we wicked down below to like 51,000. So that was underneath it. However, we haven't closed below it. I think people are buying the dip. I think that's actually going to be intact tomorrow. I think when this candle closes, it's not going to be below the EMA ribbon, and that kind of record or that statistic will still be intact, and you're going to be seeing a bit of a bounce, a bit of a recovery tomorrow. The dominance is going to go up a bit, and yeah, before maybe Wednesday, you're going to see a lot of, hashtag did you buy the dip, hashtag I bought the dip memes on crypto Twitter. Second indicator I'm going to take a look at is the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. You can see here this number here between 1 and 100. It's 42.82, so that's good. We're nowhere near being overbought, and we're actually going down towards oversold territory, which is great. The next indicator I'm going to take a look at is the MACD. I obviously like this one as well. It's very, very simple, straightforward. We've had a bullish cross, a bearish cross, a bullish cross, a bearish cross, and now we're putting in another bearish cross. We put in another bearish cross on the MACD on the daily. So, we could be expecting another few days of sideways moving, maybe downwards moving. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think we're going to get a bit of a recovery tomorrow, but hey, that's just my opinion. Quick question. Do you think 64,900 is Bitcoin's top or Bitcoin's highest point for this cycle? Let me know in the comment section down below. Okay, I'm going to finish up to TA a little bit different. I've done episodes before about how I use altcoins to maximize Bitcoin. So basically look for undervalued altcoins. I like to find undervalued altcoins that have good fundamentals, that like if I got stuck holding them for long term, it wouldn't bother me too much because, if you believe in the coin. So obviously I hold Bitcoin. That's the only one I'm going to hold long term. In terms of altcoins, I also hold some Ethereum, POLKADOT, CARDANO, and CHAINLINK. I think they're all decent coins, but make no mistake about it, their goal is to get me more Bitcoin. So I've got them by trading Bitcoin for them when they're undervalued, and when they pump, then I'll trade them back. Or I could do that at the moment. Most of them are actually doing quite well for me. But I'm showing you this trade with XRP because I want to show you, I definitely want to be transparent, and I want to show you that I definitely don't always get it right. In this game, once you get it right the majority of the time, you're doing all right. You will make profit, but I definitely don't always get it right. So I just want to show you this. A friend of mine who's big into XRP, and I told him about this trade, and I said I'd mention it. I don't believe in XRP. I don't think long term it's a good investment. Basically, like there's an unlimited supply. They can print as much as they want, and then with all the stuff it's going through. However, I do think they're going to win that lawsuit with the SEC, and I do think when that happens, there's going to be a bit of a pump. So what I did was I swapped 0.1 Bitcoin for XRP. I know there's a lot of Bitcoiners out there going, what are you doing? And my logic is that it will pump. Okay. Now let's just look. The dotted line is where I bought in about the 0.00002865 level. So if one XRP would get that amount of Bitcoin. This is where, sorry, give me a second, get the measuring tool. This is where we are now. So I've already lost 17% in that trade. Now my choice is I go cut the loss, convert it back to Bitcoin. Okay, any Bitcoin maximalists out there, they're going to be shouting at the screen if they're watching this going, do that. Because it could fall further. Absolutely, that's the risk. Now, I'm not going to do that. To be honest, I'm not going to do it at the moment anyway, because let's just zoom out. Okay, let's just zoom out. Even though I don't believe in XRP long term, I don't think it's a good investment. Let's just zoom out. So we're zooming out over the past price history of XRP. We're taking a look at the levels it went to. I'm actually going to switch to the weekly here for this to make a bit more sense. All right. So if we zoom out, that white line doesn't look so bad now. Okay. So I don't think it's ever going to go back to that original price. I don't think that's going to happen. In terms of Bitcoin, maybe it will surpass it in US dollar price or whatever, but let's just say where we are now. Okay. And let's just say, you know what, I'm going to take this actually from the price where I bought in. It makes more sense. I'm going to take it from the white line. That's where I bought in. Let's say it pumps against Bitcoin, gets back to the white line where I brought in. And even if it went up to this peak here, that's a 269% profit. So basically I've increased that 0.1 by 2.5x. So you're basically turning it into what in total maybe what's that 0.35 Bitcoin. It's a risk either way, but that's a risk. I think I'm going to stay in that trade and I'm going to forget about that and just leave it there. Yeah. Hope it goes well. Yeah. That's it for the charts for today. Okay, right now I'm going to take a quick look at my dollar cost averaging experiment. Every episode I buy €10 worth of Bitcoin to see if it's in profit or in loss and show people that it's the safest way of investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So I've done this for 29 episodes, so far I've invested a total of €290. That Bitcoin that I bought with that €290 is worth €677.05. So that's a current value, 677.05. That's a total profit of 133.47%. I'm looking forward to doing this actually. Obviously, I don't want this to stop and I don't want Bitcoin to crash, but it's inevitable that Bitcoin is going to top out sometime in this cycle and a new bear market is going to happen for 12 to 18 months or 2 years, whatever. So I'm looking forward to actually continuing this project through that bear market just to show that you're going to get very good value. I'm still going to spend €10 every episode, but I'll get a lot more Bitcoin, and hopefully if the new cycle continues and Bitcoin tops out again another 4 years or 5 years, then it should be major profits made. Let's continue on with the episode. There's loads of news to get through. Loads of news. The majority of articles that I read this morning had headlines similar to this by Bloomberg. Bitcoin plunges in biggest intraday drop since February. Or like this one by the Economic Times. Days after record high, Bitcoin plunges in biggest intraday drop since February. Now this could be as simple as Bitcoiners taking profit. I mean, come on, it hit 64,900. This time last year it was worth about 4,000 or 5,000. It could be as simple as people taking profit. And whether you like to admit it or not, whether you're into altcoins or not, when Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. When Bitcoin drops, everything drops. So it's like a rising tide lifts all boats, and this is the opposite. But with that being said, there were kind of three main reasons which are basically taking responsibility that certain news articles were saying were responsible for today's market crash. I'm going to select an article on each of these three reasons. Make sure you stay tuned in the end, because the third reason is one that I think is actually responsible for it. Right, so let's take a look. The first reason out there that various sources are saying is responsible for the price action today in the last few days is the fact that the Turkish government have banned Bitcoin. So there are numerous reports saying that this is the reason for the price action. In my opinion, this is not the reason. This is FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. Let's take a look. So this headline by the Wall Street Journal: Bitcoin payments to be banned in Turkey after confidence drops in lira. So over the last few months and years, the Turkish lira has lost a lot of its value. It's been devalued like a lot of fiat at the moment. And people are turning to Bitcoin. They're turning to Bitcoin for the same reason you or I or the big companies who have used this, who invested millions or billions, as a hedge against inflation. Okay, Bitcoin's price tends to appreciate, whereas fiat currency like the lira, or we've seen it with even the dollar, the euro, they tend to lose value over time. Given enough time, they tend to lose value. We've seen reports like this. Lebanon have done the same. We've seen it about Nigeria. We've seen it about numerous different countries in South America where people are turning to Bitcoin. They're buying Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation because the local currency is getting severely inflated or severely devalued. I don't think this is the reason. One of the reasons why I don't think it's the reason is because the population of Turkey is 82 million. Meanwhile, the population of India is 1.4 billion. And the Indian government only recently banned Bitcoin, and, well, nothing really happened to price. Maybe that's because the Indian government are flip-flopping. Every few months, it's legal, it's not legal, it's legal, it's not legal. So maybe that's why. Maybe this is slightly different there. But no, this is the first reason around the internet for the price action the last few days of why the market's crashing. I disagree with this. I don't think this is, in my opinion, this is not the reason. The second reason being bandied around the internet for taking responsibility for this crash today and the price action over the last few days is the Coinbase Effect. So just in case you didn't know, Coinbase launched its IPO last Wednesday. So Coinbase is an exchange. It has an app, it has a website. It's a cryptocurrency exchange where you can buy, sell, or trade Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So it went public with its initial public offering last Wednesday, where you can now buy shares of the company. You're not buying a coin, you're not buying a cryptocurrency, you're buying shares of the company that sells Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So for about $340, it doesn't trade in the weekend. That's what it closed, just like a normal stock or share. That's when it closed trading on Friday, because the stock exchange doesn't trade on the weekend, unlike cryptocurrencies. For about $342, you can own a share or part of Coinbase. So this headline from Financial Times reads, Coinbase listing is a lament for some Bitcoin believers. Basically it goes on saying that this legitimizes Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So it's seen as a bit of a win. Now what it doesn't say, which what this next article by Coinbase says, is that retail traders drove Bitcoin higher leading up to Coinbase listing, data shows. So this data there suggests that it was retailers, just regular people like me or you, are owning small amounts of Bitcoin, or even maybe people, in the retail who own a coin or more. Those were the people that were actually driving the price higher because they anticipated, or they thought, that when Coinbase launched its IPO, the price would pump even higher. So a lot of people thought that, but what actually happened was, this is kind of like buy the rumor, sell the news. The price collapsed after because a lot of people sold off. There's also data to suggest that wallets over 1,000, whales, basically Bitcoin whales, weren't actually buying, and it was the kind of smaller kind of retail that was actually driving this price up. My point is that people were buying Bitcoin because they thought that after Coinbase launched its IPO, the price would go higher. What actually happened was a lot of people sold off. Maybe they were anticipating this. And I'm sure that did happen, but I still don't think this is the reason for the recent price action. Now, the third and final possible reason that I'm going to go through for this, the possible reason for the price action today in the last few days is this. This is an article by Nasdaq.com, and the headline reads, Bitcoin mining hash rate drops as blackouts instituted in China. Just let me explain first of all. The Bitcoin network, the Bitcoin blockchain, the Bitcoin network has never been hacked. It's the most secure network in the world. The hash rate is a measurement of the security of that network. It's recently hit all-time high after all-time high after all-time high. However, the government have basically enforced blackouts, electrical blackouts in certain parts of China. A lot of the main mining pools, that's like a team of miners working together, are located in China. The Bitcoin mining pools located in China. So a lot of main ones are there. So because of these enforced electrical power outages, there's less mining being done. So the hash rate would actually drop. Because of that, then people in the know, people who realize this, might actually panic sell because maybe they think, okay, if the blockchain is hacked, I could lose my Bitcoin or lose some of my profit or whatever like that. Or it could actually be people in the know going, right, if the hash rate's dropped, if we know we've got to turn off our machines, if we sell now at the height, last week it hit an all-time high. Sell, knowing that when the hash rate drops, there's going to be a drop in price, maybe people panic selling, whatever, then buy back at the lower price. This is possible. Let's have a look at the article. So these blackouts were necessitated because of comprehensive power outage safety inspection on the week of an all-time high. Strange coincidence. According to a BTC.com screenshot shared by Wu Blockchain, the hash rate of several major Bitcoin mining pools has dropped significantly. These are all Chinese mining pools. As of yesterday, Ant Pool's hash rate has crashed by 24.5% in a 24-hour period. Binance Pool by 20%, BTC.com and 18.9% by Poolin by 33%. So think about this. Hash rate drops because miners have to temporarily stop mining or whatever. People can panic sell. The price drops. Buy back at a lower price. I would expect to see a massive bounce tomorrow morning and for the rest of the week. Could be wrong, but that's what I think in my opinion. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. I've definitely saved the best and last. But before we have a look at that article, I just want to remind everyone, remind ourselves of 3 financial institutions that have started buying Bitcoin cryptocurrencies or offering Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to their clients. These same financial institutions wanted nothing to do with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies 4 years ago. So BlackRock CEO sings Bitcoin's praises as future great asset class. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, who previously called the cryptocurrency an index for money laundering, has come around on Bitcoin. Yeah, Larry, because no one ever did any sort of money laundering using the US dollar. Goldman Sachs is close to offering Bitcoin and other digital assets to its wealth management clients, and Morgan Stanley becomes the first big US bank to offer its wealthy clients access to Bitcoin funds. And finally, more important than any of that, on-chain analysis. This is not what the Bitcoin top looks like. This chart says it all. This is by glassnode.com. They do on-chain technical analysis. So this is the Bitcoin long-term hodler net position change. And basically, after months of being in the red, it's flipped green recently, this month. So what that means is Bitcoin long-term hodlers, these people who had Bitcoin locked away in these wallets for long term, are now they've stopped selling. So the red means basically they've been selling. So you're talking about people who maybe had Bitcoin for years when it was a lot cheaper. They could have had thousands of it. It was a lot cheaper. And these people basically, these who are holding Bitcoin in wallets long term, they've actually stopped selling. Do you know, in the middle of a liquidity crisis, this is only going to be good for the price. I'm going to double down this. I do expect a bounce. Maybe not tomorrow. I think it's going to happen tomorrow. when the markets open up again. But definitely in the next few weeks, I don't think this is over. I still think it's going to $88,000 before the 6th of July. Maybe if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll put my hands up and say I'm wrong. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, folks, that's the end of this episode. So if you learned anything new or got any sort of value from this episode, you know the drill. And as usual, Sláinte. Bye 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 bye.